Today is Friday, September 3rd, and on this day, Marvel released its newest movie called Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I was fortunate enough to see it yesterday to make this review today, so I wouldn't be scrambling like I did in the past with the Premiere Access movies. And yes, I saw it in the theaters. I do recommend highly going to the theaters to see these movies after the details about Scarlett Johansson and Emma Stone coming out and saying that because of the Premiere Access stuff, they were ripped off on their contract. But unfortunately, I should say, Shang-Chi is not available on Premiere Access. So you either have to wait for it to come out or go to the theaters. I highly recommend going to the theaters because it supports the theaters first, it supports the actors and actresses first, and second, it's a really, really good movie to see. This was not my return to theaters. I saw the Bo Burnham special in theaters, and also Free Guy, but Shang-Chi, boy do I have a lot to say about this movie. So let's get right into it. So Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is about a man who has 10 rings, who is very powerful and uses the rings for evil. The rings were passed down from generation to generation until it got to this evil man, and the evil man has a son and a daughter named Shang-Chi and Zhao Ling. Shang-Chi's parents met because the evil man was looking for a land called the Talo, which he could go into and, overtake it. And he met his wife through that, and they got married. And then, from there, he's trained his son to become an assassin, and his daughter was also trained, but not from him. She learned the things from watching Shang-Chi get trained because, women... Or I shouldn't say women back then. The dad was not fair to her because she was a woman. And Shang-Chi decided not to carry out his father's wishes in becoming an assassin, so he ran off to San Francisco, where he meets Awkwafina's character named Katie. One day they're riding on the bus, and a man called Razor Fist, which really reminded me of Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, tries to attack, or does attack, Shang-Chi and Katie, and it's a huge fight scene on the bus. So let's get into the first topic I wanted to talk about, and that's the kung fu, the martial arts fighting in this movie is superb. There are about 6, 7, maybe 8, 7 or 8 fight scenes. I lost count at around 4 because there's just too many, but all of them are superb. There's a fight dojo scene, there's, the final battle at the end, of course, the bus scene, and the training scenes. His father is looking for these necklaces that that Shang-Chi's mother gave to him and his sister because he wants to use those medallions on them to put in this dragon statue that they have at the father's house. He can put these medallions into the dragon's eye, and the dragon will show him how to get to Tylo, because the father believes that the mother is being held captive there, even though the mother has died. Razor Fist eventually gets both of these medallions, but before that, Shang-Chi has to flee America because he has to go save his sister, which his sister doesn't need any saving because she's a very good fighter. But unfortunately, the dad finds them both, and this is where we're introduced to the dad. And the dad is, first he's the villain, then he's not, but then he's revealed to be the actual villain again. And this character is really, really, really well written, because it's one of these characters that are grieving of a loss. He doesn't mean to do evil things, he wants to mend his ways, but because of the loss of his wife, he can't help himself. And that's a really, really, really good character trait. And I will talk more about the characters later on after the spoiler talk. So from there, he reveals to the son that he wants to go to Tai Lo to fetch his mother, but Shang-Chi doesn't believe him, so they lock all of them up, and Katie, who is Awkwafina, also goes with Shang-Chi, because why not? He locks all of them up in a dungeon, and there we meet Trevor and Morris. And Morris is a creature from Tai Lo, and Trevor is played by Ben Kingsley, and he is my favorite character in this whole movie. He is so great. And not only is he the second comedy relief character, he's just a good character in general. He's supposed to be like a terrorist that tried to take down the U.S. government, but he is so funny because he's mentally crazy, and he believes that he's an actor. He later reveals that he wanted to be an actor because of the Planet of the Apes from the movie from the 60s. And he said because of the way that they train the apes to act, why couldn't a man do that too? Which is just brilliant. So, from here, I can't get into spoiler talk without spoiling stuff. So, if you haven't seen the movie, go to this time marker on the screen. And if you have seen the movie, don't click off, because I'm going to get into spoiler talk and what I thought about the movie. In 3, 2, 1. So, welcome to the spoiler talk. So Shang-Chi goes to Tai Lo and learns that all the dark monsters are being kept behind a wall, and the most powerful monster has the ability to talk to someone, it can be anyone, and take the voice of someone that they're missing or someone that they love to come release them. And that's what that's what the thing is doing to Shang-Chi's dad, and making him believe that his wife is trapped. So this is where we have the big battle and a training montage, which is pretty cool. We meet Shang-Chi's aunt, who trained Shang-Chi to the way that the Tai Lo fight, instead of being an assassin. And before I get into that, I didn't want to say this in the non-spoiler talk. Wong from Doctor Strange makes a cameo in this. Actually, 3 cameos. One in the beginning, one at the end, and then one at the after credit scene, which I will talk about during, or I won't talk about it. You know what? I'm not going to talk about the after credit scene. The only thing I'll tell you is that there's a Wong cameo. But the dad arrives at Tai Lo and, has the big battle and everything, and successfully makes his way to the gate and breaks it down, and the monsters come out. And what these monsters do is kill people, take the soul, and then feed it to the big monster that's really behind the gate. That is really, really bad news. It's a giant dragon. Everyone quickly realizes that the mother is not behind there, and that the dad is kind of being driven insane. They all team up to fight against the monsters, and it's kind of successful until the dad fights Shang-Chi and kind of throws him over the ocean, and we're believed he's dead. He's not, of course. He comes back, more powerful than ever, with the dragon that was awakened. The good dragon, of course, not the bad dragon. There's a good and bad dragon. Kind of like How to Train Your Dragon 2. There's a good alpha male and a bad alpha male. But, so Shang-Chi awakens the good dragon, and the good dragon is the only thing that can really battle the bad dragon. Shang-Chi fights his dad, and the dad, they're fighting, and Shang-Chi takes 5 rings. And, he talks to his dad, they fight some more, and then his dad is taken by one of the soul suckers, or that's what they're called in the movie, not quite sure what they're actually called. But he's taken by one of the soul suckers, and he is killed by them, and his dad gives the 10 rings finally to Shang-Chi to try to fight the big dragon, because the last soul that Shang-Chi's dad gave the big dragon was the last one that the dragon needed. So now the dragon is awakened, the evil dragon is awakened, and is going to wreak havoc on the village. Except he fights the good dragon, which the sister is now controlling the good dragon. So he fights the good dragon and is about to suck the soul of the good dragon, and if he does that, he will be unstoppable. But Katie, Awkwafina's character, and if you noticed, I haven't mentioned Katie much at all, and that's for a reason that I'll get into later. But Katie has been training to shoot bow and arrow, and she shoots and aims for the dragon's neck, and she successfully hits him, and the dragon is defeated, and all is well after that. I am not done with spoiler talk yet, though, because I really thought the CGI in this is really, 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 really cool. Because of the white dragon and the black dragon, they're fighting. It's really, really, it's stunning. And then earlier in the movie and during this, there's water that is, I don't really know how to explain it, but there could be a really, really cool water show in Disney World or Disneyland if they decide to. The ending is also really sad because the dad, it's almost like Darth Vader, where the dad finally deals with the grievance of his wife, but he can't be with Shang Chi, and the family is destroyed because he is killed by the dragon, and he notices that Shang Chi is such a good fighter that he gives the 10 rings to him, which he wasn't going to do at first. So that's enough with spoiler talk. Let me get into my actual thoughts of the overall of the movie. So this is one of... I was struggling with this because Avengers Endgame is the best Marvel movie ever. I can't argue that. But it's not my personal favorite Marvel movie. I have a difference between the best ever and my favorite. My favorite Marvel movie is Spider-Man Homecoming. And then the best ever, I can agree that Endgame is the best ever. But this has to be my second favorite Marvel movie. And probably, I can't say the second best, but it is in top 5 best Marvel movie. Before this, I thought it was going to be like Black Panther, and then during it I made a lot of connections to Doctor Strange, and those connections were valid because of what I said in spoiler talk. But this really was a mix between Black Panther and Doctor Strange, because it had Doctor Strange-like... the rings have Doctor Strange-like abilities, but the thing like Black Panther is, like, in Black Panther... First, I know Shang Chi is going to completely change the MCU, just like Black Panther did in Phase 3. But the actual story that is similar to Black Panther that I kind of noticed is the family thing. These rings are passed down from generation to generation. The Black Panther is passed down from generation to generation. You see what I'm saying? Shang-Chi is just really, really excellent because not only is it a great watch, it's also really, really good representation of Asian culture. And I've said this before, I'm really not someone that should be talking about this. Like I said in my Soul review, I mean, I'm white. So, and I'm not Asian, so, but I do know a little bit of Asian culture, and what I know, this movie backed it up really well, because there was, it's an all-Asian cast, almost all-Asian cast, I should say. Some things that I didn't like, and there's only one that really sticks out. I don't like Awkwafina as an actress. I bet you that she's a really, really nice woman. She's funny in her comedy specials, but every movie that I see in her, she's always the weak person. She's always the weak character in those movies. Like Jumanji, the second one, I liked it, but I just didn't like Awkwafina. Raya, she was the reason, well, there was multiple reasons I didn't review that, but she was trying too hard to be like Genie in Aladdin, I felt, in Raya, and I didn't really take her character seriously. Even though I really wanted to like her character, I just didn't. And she was a weak part in that movie. And she was also weak in this movie. If you took Awkwafina out of this movie and gave the character to somebody else, or mixed her character with Shang-Chi's sister, it would be the exact same. I just don't understand why she was in this movie, because you also had a comedy relief in Trevor. And Trevor, I love him so much. He's my favorite character in this movie by far. But Awkwafina, I really did not like her in this movie. So, the ranking. This was tough for me. I was debating if I was going to give it a 10 out of 10, a perfect, or a 9 out of 10. Because the last time a Marvel movie came out, I gave Black Widow a 7 or 8, I believe. So I was not going to give it that low. But I wasn't sure if I was going to give it a perfect. But I am. I'm going to give Shang-Chi a 10 out of 10. Because it really blew me away. Because it was one of these things where it's an it's a new character. I'm not quite sure. You know, the last origin story that we got was Black Widow, so it's... And that didn't really live up to the potential, I think. And I was scared that it wasn't going to fit into the MCU well. But I think it is, because this comes before Spider-Man, before all the time stuff starts. So, it fits well in the MCU. It's a really, really good watch. All around, a great, great movie. So I give Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings a 10 out of 10. I'm very proud to be giving the first perfect score in Big Beautiful Disney history to this movie. And like I said before, please be sure to see this movie. Whether it be this Labor Day weekend or next weekend, just try to see it in the theaters. And if you can't, rent it. So I hope this review helped you if you were debating on seeing it, and if you saw it, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. And consider subscribing. It would make me a very happy man. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.